Well, hello everyone, Texie88 here and welcome to another review. And now, after having looked at the Amstrad CPC version of Turbo Kart Racer, now we're taking a look at the Spectrum version. Now, it came out for both 48K and 128K Spectra, but it's the latter that we're looking at in this case. Now, as I said in my CPC review of this game, that particular one was a shit game time request, and quite frankly, I'm not surprised. Let's see how well the Spectrum version fares and see whether or not, as I suspect, the CPC version was actually a Spectrum port. Well, those graphics definitely look. Those graphics definitely look very similar to what I saw on the Amstrad, not counting the fact that the sides of the road are in monochrome. And unlike the Amstrad version, we actually have some music here. And you can even redefine the keys, something you couldn't do in that version. Left, right, turbo, brake, accelerate, quit, pause. So without further ado, let's get this going. Well, the first thing I noticed is it's a lot faster and more playable than the CPC version. And yes, that version clearly had Spectrum port written all over it. Oh God, look at that colour clash! Ugh, that's horrible. I mean, I know the Spectrum has clash issues, but that's really quite bad. That really is quite bad. I don't quite know why they went for that kind of approach. Millhouses Hotel. Oh God, why did they do the colour like that? Look at that clash. Yeah, they shouldn't have done it like that. At least you get a bit more consistent sound in this version. You just got when it came to the engine noise, you just got this repetitive, very faint ticking sound, and apart from the explosions, that was about it. Not counted. Oh yeah, and the sound it played when the lights counted down. God. Could do some fuel. I've used about 2/3 of my fuel gauge. Ugh. That really is vile. I mean, that is serious bleed there. Oh, come on. I've taken a lot of damage. My damage meter's always completely filled up. I mean, even though this plays a lot better than the CPC version, it's still not very good. And the actual damage meter seems to actually work properly in this version. It didn't in the CPC version. Let's try that again. I mean, I gave it 2 goes on the CPC version, so it's only fair I responded like kind on this version. Yeah, this definitely responds a lot better than the CPC version. At least it is generally a lot more playable. I mean, I'm actually not struggling to get around corners to anything like the same degree that I was in that version. What, I clearly hit that. Come on, move it. Damn it, missed a can of beans. I wonder what's up with that guy on the right there by that ambulance. Quite nearly crashing. Had that been the CPC version, I probably would have rear-ended that guy because the controls are so unresponsive on that version. Ooh, this one, I actually noticed some arrows on the sides of the road in this version. I don't remember them in the CPC version. So even if you do go for careering off the road, you can still tell where you're supposed to be going. So that's another thing that's going to help it in my final verdict. Oh God, that colour clash is horrible. Oh, come on. It's easy to forget about that nitro, actually. There was no excuse for the CPC version to be as bad as it was. This is far better, although it's still not particularly great. Oh God! I mean, the controls are still a little bit on the slippery side, just not nearly. But the response time between pressing it and actually having the steering happen on screen is way better. Oops. We've actually made it to a second. I think that'll do me. I gave the CPC version 2 goes, and I've just finished doing the same thing with this version. So that's Turbo Kart Racer on the 128K ZX Spectrum. Well, even though it's still pretty crappy, it's a darn sight better than that horrible CPC version. Graphics, as good as they're ever going to really get on a Spectrum, largely monochrome except for your car, which is red, whereas everything else is green, not counting the black. That in itself caused problems if you inadvertently go off the road, because the colour clash is quite hideous when that happens. In fact, because your car's in the middle of the screen all the time anyway, I don't even know why they bothered having it a different colour. And the arrows telling you where to go, which I don't recall seeing in the CPC version, are definitely a big plus. So that's a good design thing. Scrolling's a lot smoother, and generally everything's faster than in the CPC version. Sound, well, you got this nice music playing, at least on the 128K version. Sound is generally more consistent. You get that and a passable engine noise, at least passable on the Spectrum, and it's generally a bit more immersive. Not much, but obviously there's a limit, even for the 128K Spectrum when it comes to sound. Gameplay, well, it's definitely more fun to play than the CPC version, which was nigh on uncontrollable. There's none of the time. There's little to none of the time delay that plagued that version. So steering is, as you probably guessed from what I was watching, or what you saw me playing on through just now, it was far more consistently less of a problem, and generally the traction felt a lot more accurate, and I didn't feel like I was skidding all over the place to anything like the same degree as I was in that other version. Trouble is, as a game, it's still not particularly interesting. It generally doesn't have the excitement that it needs to keep you coming back for more. And even for a game from 1990, there would have been other car games which would have been more fun to play for about the same price, which in this case was £2.99, according to what I can make out. So it was a budget title, it wasn't full price. So I'm going to give Turbo Kart Racer for the Spectrum 4 out of 10. Definitely more eminently playable than the CPC version, but it's just not particularly enthralling and not particularly exciting, and the chances are you get bored of it pretty quickly, and probably will want to stick on something far more interesting. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that review. Catch you on another video soon. Taxi88 out.